I want to listen to this.
Yair Netanyahu, who again, by the way, lives here in America.
From his condo in Miami.
Yeah, nobody's quite sure why he lives here. Apparently had to delay his wedding, which is such a tragedy over the war in Gaza. He says, quote, great wake-up call for conservatives to remember Joe Rogan is not a conservative. He gave a platform to every single neo-Nazi anti-Semite on this plant, but he refused to have my father. This guy doesn't even speak English. Why does he live here? But he refused to have my father on his show because he knows he doesn't stand a chance against him.
Yeah.
And all those years of anti-Semitic propaganda will go to waste. So that is apparently some interesting news from Bibi's own son that Rogan has refused to have on Benjamin Netanyahu. But it does fit, I think, with the turn in which, you know, the quote podcast space has really come around on Israel. We could go here to the next one, Theo Vaughn, who just tweeted, quote, Mr. at POTUS, JD Vance, Bernie Sanders, RFK Jr., Thomas Massey, and Ro Khanna. Theo, please have me on to educate you on who has the power here in this situation. But he says, can we, Mr. blah, 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 can we please get aid into Gaza now? Children are starving to death. We are America. This isn't about politics. This is about humanity. Exactly 3 people who are tagged there have actual power, with the president, JD Vance, and Robert Kennedy Jr. The rest are, unfortunately, either members of the U.S. Senate and or backbenching congressmen listen, they're great. I have nothing against any of those folks, but it's not like Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey can even force a vote on the Epstein files, let alone get humanitarian aid into Gaza.
The truth is, there's only one person in that list who has any power. It's POTUS. Yeah. JD Vance doesn't have any power, really. RFK Jr., okay, yeah. Right. He's still over there struggling to get dyes out of cereal in 2 years from now or whatever, and using the HHS to go after the scourge of anti-Semitism and accusing Bernie Sanders of blood libel. Okay. So he's got his hands full.
Right. So there's that. But actually, what is interesting even more is the extent to which Theo and now Tim Dillon and others have really taken their platform, I think, to the next level in calling out the situation. For example, here is Theo. He's recently, I think he was in an airport, stopped by TMZ. Here's what he had to say.
My things would be why we're being supportive of the genocide in Gaza. Like, why are we helping with that? Like, I think it's making a lot of people feel really scared that it's like hurting our feelings. Like, why are we supporting that? Yeah. And then why wouldn't we come to the rescue of the people over there? Oh, the Epstein thing? Yeah, it's like I think people just don't believe that the government works for the people anymore. And it's really just like, and maybe it never has, right? It felt like it was supposed to really feel like America first, and I don't know if people are feeling that. I think people are feeling more nervous. I think there's that deal with Palantir for like a surveillance state. I feel like there's people in power that know where we're headed that aren't telling us.
Interesting. Very interesting indeed. And then here we have Tim Dillon reacting to the Nelk Boys interview. But actually, more importantly, it was just the direct call to cut off all aid to Israel. Let's take a listen.
Earlier this week, 30-year-old teenagers, the Nelk Boys, received a massive amount of backlash for their interview with Benjamin Netanyahu. We should absolutely cut off funding to Israel immediately. Cut off funding. 100%. I don't know why that's even controversial.
You could see, I mean, you know, cutting off aid to Israel immediately, calling out the Nelk Boys. I do think
Can we call them Nelk Men?
The Nelk Men. I like that. You know, you're right.
I appreciate that, because that was something that pissed me off too, is they're so like infantilized. Like, they infantilize themselves, and then I feel like everybody else infantilized. You are 30 years old. Like, at least have the sense that Rogan had to be like, no, I'm not having you on. And the thing that Netanyahu's son said about like, oh, he knows he can't go up against my dad. I mean, it may be true. Like, it certainly was true that the Nelk Men were not prepared to deal with and unpack all of the layers of Hasbara because they haven't been studying it. Clearly, they didn't spend any time studying it before they had him on. That's fine. If you recognize, like, you know what, I'm not really equipped for that, good. That's great. You don't have to do that. And so if he at least had that realization, like, you know what, I'm not really the person to do this. I don't think anything good is going to come out of this. Yes, you don't have to say yes to these interviews. And like the entitlement of thinking that this pisses me off too. There's such an entitlement of some of these figures of like, oh, well, they should have me on their platform. They wouldn't let me come on their platform. It's like, no, it's their platform.
You know, the problem with most Zionists is that they don't understand that people have their right to their opinions and they might disagree with them. Here, Bibi Netanyahu's son, Yair Netanyahu, think that Joe Rogan must give his father an interview. My question is, where all this interview is coming from? And where is this entitlement coming from? It's because most Zionists think that everyone must agree with them and everyone must support Zionists. And this is the problem we have. Why? Because these people have learned that everything goes against their will. And no one stand up and say, you guys, you need to follow what other people or what humanity wants. And this kind of where they can do any crime and go and no one will question them has made them think that they deserve everything. They are special people. They are supreme tribe, and everyone must conform, and everyone must give them what they want. And that's a problem. Why are you angered that Joe Rogan refused to give Bibi Netanyahu an interview, your father? Because he doesn't agree with the killing or committing 49 times of October 7th. It's his right to disagree with you. It's not anti-Semitic. Calling him anti-Semitic means that you don't even understand that people can have a different opinion and people can have an understanding that whatever you're doing is wrong and I do not agree with it. I do not give you an interview. Remember, this is podcast. He owns the right to say yes or no, whether you are present or not. That is not your business. And there's a problem we are having with people not understanding that you can disagree with Zionists and be not anti-Semitic. And ADN has failed. And that's why no longer people care about being labeled anti-Semitic. Why? Because we are not. This is a way of censoring information. This is a way of censoring truth. Where if you say Zionists are doing something wrong, the ADN come and say, oh, you are anti-Semitic, and they are bloggers and they are influencers. We need to understand whatever is happening in Palestine is not good. Now let's imagine. Tell me, where have you heard that people are receiving aid or foods, and during that process we killed 1,000 people? If October 7 was an issue where 13,000 Israelis were killed, now we have people here who are just running for food. 1,000 of them are killed. I don't know, even in the Nazi regime we had a scenario where people were running for food and 1,000 were killed. In modern history, I don't know where that has happened. I don't even understand why it's only in Israel and Gaza that we cannot have journalists in this conflict. We have seen journalists in all conflict, but in this, they don't want us to go there. Why? Because one, they want to control the narrative. They don't want the world to know the real crimes being committed there, because they destroy the image of Zionists. And this is a problem we are having, the double standard, the preferential treatment of this group. And when this happened, what it creates resentment. And I'll tell you this, whatever is happening right now in Palestine is the biggest anti-Semitic thing that will destroy the image of Israel for a very long time. Because the global narrative, the global victim narrative is no longer working anymore. And people now can see between these people and the people who committed the Holocaust, I don't see a lot of differences. Because today we are having Holocaust 2.0. It's not something to discuss. You cannot be a group of victims and commit a genocide. It's not understandable. Whether we get demonetized or not, we need to be mature enough to understand that democracy allows people to speak. And this idea where that if you speak against Israel, it becomes a crime is a problem. Because we need to understand that humanity, international law, human rights are not selective. Everyone is entitled. And I am happy that, I don't know whether the Western media realize that things are going off and the public is not happy. They woke up, all of them, and say, oh, what is happening in Gaza is wrong, mass starvation. After 2 years, I could see media stations report what is the reality after ignoring genocide for a very long time and pretending that is happening and always calling specific and listening to and supporting to Zionists only. But I'm happy that podcasters like Theo and Joe Rogan have decided that we cannot take this nonsense anymore. And if you want to do it, but we're not supporting you. Well, let's meet in the next video. I'm your host, James. Do you agree that podcasters are making the right move and Joe Rogan did a very good move to disapprove and disagree to do interview with Bibi Netanyahu? Let me know in the comment section. I'm your host, James.